Before we hop into the video, we are doing a giveaway. We're giving away $1,000 worth of Amazon gift cards and an iPhone 11 Pro. To enter, make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and comment down below something interesting that you found in the video. And to better your chances, come back to future videos that we release and do the same thing over there.
NBA players who are going to fail this year. Sometimes NBA players reach points in their careers where there's only so much time left to reverse a negative image or narrative. Here are a few players on thin ice this season that need to turn things around before their legacies are shrouded in failure. Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins may not be considered a bust by a lot of player standards, but he hasn't lived up to the massive expectations set for him in his first 7 seasons. Standing at 6'8" with remarkable quickness and athleticism, Wiggins had a high bar to reach coming into the league as the #1 pick in the draft in 2014. Analysts compared him to a young Kobe or Michael Jordan on draft night due to the raw talent he put on display playing high school basketball in Canada and wowing NBA scouts as a one-and-done at Kansas. Today, though, Wiggins isn't a bad player by any means, but he's disappointed anyone who thought he'd be much more than a solid role player. Andrew is often criticized for what appears to be a lack of effort, focus, and feel on the court. And this became even more apparent when playing with a gritty teammate like Jimmy Butler for a season. While his natural gifts are obvious, Wiggins still hasn't shown that he's committed to improving on his biggest weaknesses: shot selection, basketball IQ, a lack of physicality, and poor positional awareness. This year will be Wiggins' chance to prove himself next to a healthy Stephen Curry, who is already improving his efficiency due to his skills as a facilitator and the gravity he creates around himself as a shooting threat. Having mentors like Steph, Draymond, and Steve Kerr, and playing for a championship culture could also give Andrew the nudge and motivation he needs to be an elite player in this league. Wiggins posted solid numbers last year without Steph, logging a 54.2 true field goal percentage and setting career highs for blocks and steals. But with Steph, Andrew has looked more promising than ever as a secondary scoring option. Through the first 12 games, Wiggins is shooting a career-high 44% from the long mid-range, logging 1.11 points per possession on the off-the-dribble jumpers and averaging 1.42 points on isolation possessions with a 68.2 adjusted field goal percentage. That puts Wiggins in the 92nd percentile for possessions league-wide. Andrew has fooled us all before, but at 25 years old, he'll have to show us that he's all in this time before it's too late. Ben Simmons. Don't get us wrong, Ben Simmons is an elite caliber player, but his recent playoff failures with the 76ers and lack of shooting ability have made him trade bait in 2021, and his clock is ticking. Simmons is a transcendent player in the modern NBA. As a 6'10" guard forward with a body reminiscent of LeBron, Ben is an elite passer, finisher, and low post scorer. Any player fast enough to defend him is too small, and any player big enough to guard him is too slow. Together with Joel Embiid, Simmons has helped form a core that's become one of the best young duos in the NBA and brought championship aspirations back to the city of brotherly love. Recent playoff performances have made that dream seem out of reach, though. For the past 2 seasons, Philly has failed to surround Simmons and Embiid with enough shooters to make up for Ben's own efficiency problems. While not many teams are big or quick enough to guard both Simmons and Embiid, Embiid is a better scorer and attracts bigger defenders, making it easier for Ben to get to the rim and bully smaller defenders in the paint. This is unsustainable long-term, as Simmons tends to struggle when he loses his stride, or gets matched with more athletic and lengthy defenders. The Sixers were extremely close to swapping Simmons for James Harden earlier this month, before ultimately getting outbid by the Brooklyn Nets. And it's safe to say that Ben would probably be on the block for the next star that looks to be a good fit. If he doesn't develop his jumper and shot creation soon, Simmons could wind up in a situation with another team that makes it even harder for him to capitalize on his limited offensive strengths. So far, the Sixers are off to a hot start this year and going 9-4 in their first 12 games. The addition of Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, and Danny Green have provided some much-needed shooting relief, while Embiid and Tobias Harris have had extremely solid starts to the season. The problem is there doesn't seem to be much space left for Simmons, who is averaging career lows in scoring, 12.4 per game, and field goal percentage 51.5%. Doc Rivers has been high on Ben since taking over as head coach this season, but as a guard who can't shoot more than 3 feet away from the basket, shoot off the dribble, or make a consistent floater, he might become irrelevant sooner than later. Kyrie Irving. In just his second season with the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving is already wearing out his welcome. The conditions around the six-time All-Star right now should mean very good things for his career. His friend, teammate, and former MVP Kevin Durant is back to terrorize the league after coming back from a torn Achilles. The Nets are loaded with solid role players and shooters like Joe Harris, DeAndre Jordan, and Landry Shamet, and the Nets front office just made the blockbuster trade of the year in securing one of the greatest scorers of all time and another former MVP, James Harden. But because this is Kyrie we're talking about, 2021 looks to be another year full of drama and antics in the media. On January 7th, outlets reported that Irving wouldn't suit up for that night's game against Philly due to, quote, personal reasons. Nets coach Steve Nash said he had no idea why Kyrie wasn't playing, only to follow up later saying the two had been in contact but declining to give any more details. Then, a few days later, a video surfaced showing Kyrie in an actual club, which is against league safety protocols, without a mask on for his sister's birthday party. The league ended up fining him $50,000 for this violation, and it's looking like he'll probably miss additional playing time to quarantine. His team, meanwhile, is 2 for 2 without him. Stephen A. Smith didn't mince words after news got out about the incident, and even called on Kyrie to retire on First Take. Quote, "He's not worth the drama at all. Matter of fact, let me say this straight up and down. I think Kyrie Irving should retire. I think he should announce his retirement today. Clearly, you don't want to play basketball bad enough. Kyrie Irving has not prioritized basketball, but I'm not saying he doesn't want to play altogether. I'm saying he hasn't prioritized it. And how fair was that to the Brooklyn Nets?" End quote. The situation is deteriorating so quickly in Brooklyn, it's starting to look like the Harden trade was just insurance for when the team inevitably ships Irving off. According to NBA insider Tommy D of SNY-TV, Kyrie is reportedly, quote, furious at the Nets organization for not giving him more input on hiring Steve Nash, who he didn't want to coach the team. D went on to tweet that Kyrie's relationship with KD has also been described as, quote, very distant lately, which is a pretty bad sign about the state of the Nets locker room. If Kyrie doesn't get it together soon and fix things with the Nets, we could see the NBA landscape changing drastically very soon. Based on current rumors around a Kyrie trade for another star point guard, that could end up much worse for Irving than it would for the Nets. Russell Westbrook. Love him or hate him, most fans can agree that 2021 is a make-or-break year for Russell Westbrook. After getting shipped to the Washington Wizards for John Wall in early December, Brody's ability to lead a team will be tested more than ever in DC. So far, the future's not looking too bright for the 9-time All-Star and 2017 MVP, unless his stint in Washington is a success. Make no mistake, Russ is a triple-double machine and one of the hardest-playing players out there. But after struggling to get past the first 2 rounds with the Thunder for several years, and last year's failed experiment with James Harden and the Rockets, it's becoming more and more obvious that Westbrook's play style doesn't really translate to wins. First off, he's not an effective shooter, despite taking half his team's shots in any given game. Westbrook is a poor three-point shooter and decision-maker with the ball, especially in the playoffs. His poor shooting has even earned him the nickname Westbrick from some fans. Secondly, his reputation as a stat patter and hard-headed teammate have rubbed teammates and coaches the wrong way. Many players, coaches, and execs see Westbrook as a guy who only cares about himself and his stats and doesn't play off ball. While that might not be entirely true, Westbrook is increasingly becoming a guy that most front offices and coaches don't want to deal with. ESPN analyst Shannon Sharp had this to say all the way back in 2018, and some fans are still saying this about Russ. Russell Westbrook was so uncoachable, Kevin Durant packed his bags. What free agent you know that's going to say, you know what, I want to play with Russ? Whatever you might think about his polarizing game, Russ's aggressive play style hasn't translated to wins in Washington. As of January 15th, the Wizards are 3-8 and second to last in the Eastern Conference. Things look more bleak for Russ now that he's expected to miss the next 3 to 4 weeks with a quad injury. Rumors have also been circulating that a Westbrook-Kyrie Irving trade could even go down soon due to Kyrie's recent antics. So only time will tell what direction Brody's career will go from here. A trade like that would bring Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden back together to recreate the Big Three that took the Thunder to the finals in 2012, which might not be the worst situation for us. At 32 though, the Brody only has so much time to change his approach to the game if he ever wants to win a ring. Final thoughts. 2021 will be a crucial season for these players if they want to change the narrative around their careers. Only time will tell if this year ends up being the boost they need or the season that does them in. For more NBA news and gossip, subscribe to UpNext Sports. Catch you next time.